You'll hear lots of viewpoints on this of like, no, that's terrible advice. I fully believe in it. Hey everyone, my name's Lavonne and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Sleep is a legitimate concern once you have a baby. So every time people get pregnant, they think about having their baby, or what do you hear from people who've had babies? Like, oh, he'll never sleep again, right? And so today I want to give you some tips. And these are like kind of insider scoop, outside the box tips for how to sleep better, tips for your sleep with your baby. And really, I'm already going to start reframing this with my first tip, because instead of saying, how do I make them sleep? How do I get them to sleep? That is not this video. Okay. That is a video I could do. If you want it, let me know in the comment box down below. But really, I want you to begin to reframe your concept, your mindset around sleep too. Before you can get them to sleep, they have to feel safe and regulated in their body. And so instead of how do I force them to sleep, you first have to ask, they will get better sleep, they will go to sleep quicker, is how can I help them feel safe and regulated in their body? Now you have to understand what that means. And so that safety, of course, is like physical safety, of course, right? And so physical safety might feel like touch. That might feel like closeness. That might be holding your baby or talking to them or laying a hand, right? That they have to know that their needs are taken care of, and therefore their needs need to be taken care of. Your baby's not going to sleep as well if they're hungry. And so make sure that their needs are taken care of in a way that they feel safe. But also this means a baby form of emotionally safe and regulated in their body. There's something called co-regulation. And what that means is that your energy impacts your baby's energy. So when we talk about, and I hear this said that like my stress affects my baby, and that feels like a lot of pressure. I don't want that to feel like pressure, but you do need to understand that there is an actual like proven concept of what's called co-regulation. You see this with little kids, that like if they fall and they're okay, but they look at the parent and the parent is like, ah! And they freak out, right? The baby sees that, or the kid sees that and goes like, oh, okay, I'm freaking out. Should I be freaking out? Or the opposite is also true, that if a kid falls and you're like, you okay? And they look at you and they're regulating with you to say like, am I okay? You think I'm okay? And then all of a sudden they see that you're very calm, and then guess what? It doesn't turn into a full-blown meltdown. And so when thinking about your newborn, obviously as this baby grows up, you're going to continue to learn that. Think about yourself and how you regulate yourself. Watch your own tone. Watch your own breathing. If you're feeling frantic and freaking out, right? Set your baby down. Walk away for a second, okay? Because they're going to mirror that. They're going to co-regulate or get on that same level. As much as, even as newborns, it's more of like an energetic level of like they're feeling like there's something going on here, and I'm going to be less regulated. And by regulated, I mean calm in their body, okay? And so this sort of goes twofold, right? You have to ask the question, how do I help them feel safe? How do I help them regulate? And one of the most impactful ways you can do that is through regulating yourself. I actually have a resource for you in this. I give you this for labor and birth, and I actually wasn't even considering telling you this at this point, but I do have a visualization class. And in that visualization class, there's labor and birth visualizations, but there's also life visualizations. And so as you're anticipating getting into the postpartum period and you're doing that work for labor and birth, it carries into the life piece, right? Go and find the bubble. My bubble of peace visualization is like my favorite. I use that analogy in my own personal life. I like when I need a moment and I'm feeling like my whole world is swarming, that like I go back to the bubble of peace visualization and I like create an environment in my brain and in my mind to help calm my body so that your baby can co-regulate with you. Okay, I'll drop that link in the bottom down below. There's a free one. You can get a whole mini class on visualizations and how that helps you potentially. All of that's free. And then if you love it, there's obviously like a little bit of an upgrade, but it's cheap. So you can find that down in the comment box down below. So you've asked the question, how do I help them feel safe and regulated in their body? Some other skills or like tools I have for you in that is skin to skin. So skin to skin actually, and what that means is that your baby is basically just in a diaper, and you as the pregnant or the non-pregnant person, the postpartum person, or the partner take off your shirt, and you can even like open up and be fully topless, and you put them directly on your skin. This kind of feels potentially strange of like, wow, I'm like topless and just out there with my baby, but they love this. And then when they're able to eat, this actually helps support your breastfeeding, or when they're ready to eat, they can find the breast. It helps regulate their breathing. It helps regulate their blood sugar. It helps regulate their heart rate and their blood pressure. So as far as creating a calm environment, that's one of the most incredibly like smushy tools you have, because you also benefit from that. You get a little oxytocin release, which is your love hormone, okay? And then think about your environment to help them feel regulated. How do you dim the lights? How do you make sounds that mimic the womb, right? I talked in a previous video about how like anything that mimics the womb is soothing to them, right? Slow rocking, low humming. You can baby wear if you're not quite there, like trying to rest. But if you're going to set your baby up to sleep better, this kind of goes for all of us, right? That like the more calm we are going into our sleep habits and our sleep environments, the better we're gonna sleep. The other tip I have for you is we have to know what our sleepy cues are, and then also technically our wake cues. So babies give us actual communication, all right? And they also give us feeding cues. So if you want that video, let me know in the comment box down below. But our sleepy cues are gonna be really important when you are attuned to your baby, when you're paying attention, when you have them close, to pay attention to their affect, that we're not forcing them to play when they're starting to get sleepy, right? If they yawn, that is a sleepy cue, right? Our instincts know that like, oh, you must be tired. And if they're tired, you want to catch them when they're giving you cues before they get fussy. The moment they're fussy, now you're having to soothe, you've missed the cues, and then now it's harder to get them down because now they're like beyond sleepy, right? And so they yawn, they're not making eye contact, they might start to get like droopy eyelids where their eyes are no longer like, I'm up and around, I'm here. Instead, they're kind of like, they might get red around their eyes, on their forehead, across their, or like around their eyes. They might start rubbing their eyes. That one is a really solid sleepy cue. I love that one. They're gonna lose interest, kind of look away. You might be trying to get their attention and they're like, right? That they're not engaging as much. Their affect is slower. And so when you see those cues, that's their rhythm, that's their communication. Wrap them up, swaddle them up, and put them down if you're choosing to do that, okay? And then also understand their pattern of sleep, right? That it is super normal, it is expected, it is the way it goes, that babies sleep a ton. Newborns sleep up to 18 hours a day. And so when they're sleeping, don't stress about their sleep. If they're sleeping a lot, that is normal. They're gonna sleep, they're gonna wake, eat, be alert for a little bit, and then go back to sleep again. And so I see a lot of families that obsess over the fact that they're sleeping too much or what their sleeping timing is. They're waking them up throughout the day to try to like get them to sleep better at night. In general, that is not the recommendation. Babies don't have a circadian rhythm, and they start to develop that about 6 weeks, which is like your ability to notice when it's like sleepy time versus daytime, right? And the sun helps us with that. So when the sun comes up, we start to wake up, the sun goes down, we start to get like, right? They don't create their own melatonin, which is what causes you sleepy, until about 6 weeks. And so they're regulating with you, they're learning your rhythms. And so that's also why they recommend to have your baby in your room so that they can kind of like co-regulate with you in that way. But in general, you're not keeping them awake throughout the day. Let them sleep. If they've slept for 4-ish hours, that's usually the time for feeding sake, not sleep sake, but feeding sake in the earlier times, then you might want to like unswaddle them or like pick them up, and then they'll start to wake up, they'll want to eat, but then they might go right back to sleep. And so don't stress about the timing, especially during those first weeks. And I'm saying like first 4 to 6 weeks, flex and flow, because things change a lot with a newborn. But in general, especially on those earlier times, that we're following their rhythm. That is the recommendation. They're figuring out their life and they're just gonna sleep around the clock. That is normal. I know that's not always easy for us when we're on to a rhythm and you want your rhythm and routines, but just imagine this is only a very small season of life. It's very short. It will change. The moment you get the rhythm, then it's like, oh, now something new. And like now they're shifting the way that they do things again, which is also very normal. You can do this. You don't need to stress over it. But then also I'm going to say my last one is like a bonus is just sleep when the baby sleeps. And that's annoying. I say that out loud and then I'm like, that's annoying because like that's what everybody says. And then you'll hear lots of viewpoints on this of like, no, that's terrible advice. I fully believe in it 100% that if you do not prioritize your sleep, When the baby goes down, you will not sleep, right? And you will feel horrible because everything is harder when you're tired. And so when the baby goes down, prioritize. You have to nap. You have to. It is the survival life. And if you're not a napper now, sometimes later in pregnancy, you start to become a napper, which is, I think, your body trying to get you ready for that like naps are life. Aim at getting about 6 to ideally 8+ hours of collective sleep for you, right? It's not going to be uninterrupted. That's normal. That's expected. It's also not forever. But if you can get those 8 hours, you're going to feel so much better. If you want more from me, head over to bundlebirth.com. I talk a lot about postpartum. I give you tips. My workbook that comes with the Bundlebirth class is like crazy extra resources. There's tools, there's assessments, there's like tips and all sorts of postpartum stuff, breastfeeding stuff in there that you get with the Bundlebirth class. Let me know what other videos you want in the comment box down below. What worked for you to help set you up for that better sleep with your baby. And then make sure you subscribe, like, share it with a friend. And until next time, don't forget to flex and flow, and I will see you soon. Bye. Holy moly! I'm not pregnant. Ding-a-ling. Okay. Okay, well, one it is. Go sleep.